NFL Week 13 is well underway. We've got the countdown coming up. We'll tell you who's going to win the most consequential games and by how much. Our guy Jeremy Tache is sitting in to help us figure out which is the best position group by franchise in the history of people. Is it Packers QB, Dodgers starting pitching, Lakers center? We'll settle that hash. Plus, Chef Josh Capon is going to rank the meats, all of them, top to bottom. The leftovers are calling my name. We haven't a moment to spare. Start the show! Yes, hi and hello, and hope you had a grand Thanksgiving, my fellow football Americans. Welcome to Football America, presented as ever by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. I hope you had a great turkey bowl. I hope you had lots and lots of pie and stuffing and pie and gravy and whatever meat you like, but I hope turkey was one of them. Hey, Jeremy, let's start off with this question for you. Did you play a turkey bowl, and did you eat some pie, and which kind?
I missed Turkey Bowl this year, but have had the same group of guys playing in the same Turkey Bowl since we were 12 years old. I did have pie. I had both pumpkin pie, pecan pie, and apple pie. I had all three.
You know what I think is fine to mix in. You know, I'm pretty hardcore about you got to have the turkey. I think same thing. You got to have a pecan and you got to have a pumpkin pie.
Have both.
And a lot of people like to speak up now about pumpkin pie. Now the turkey is the hipsters who denounce turkey. That's old news now. The new one is pumpkin pie. Also sucks, I hear. But listen, if you don't love
ridiculous.
That, coconut cream pie is a nice choice.
That's always a good one.
You know what it is about pumpkin pie? Bad marketing. Should be called autumn pie.
Ooh.
You don't really taste pumpkin. You taste a lot of cinnamon, a lot of autumn flavors. It's orange. Yeah. You know, it should be an autumn pie, not pumpkin. Same thing with carrot cake, by the way. Carrot cake, bad marketing.
I will say my grandma makes the greatest pumpkin pie in the entire world. I know everybody says that. Yep. I promise you, my grandma's is the winner. I will put it up against any pumpkin pie in this world.
Spoken like a nice
Well, there's
and her latkes.
Yeah,
and her latkes,
one other pie. One other pie is the maple bourbon pecan pie with a vodka crust.
That's what I'm talking
just
about.
that one. I mean, how specific can you get?
Yeah.
Soup.
It's good.
Only sold
It's
at Whole Foods in Brooklyn.
My God.
Yeah.
No.
Belated shout out to the pie queen. We miss her. Something awful. Deeker pie off of the past. We did get to sit down late last week with a couple of the heroes, Hanzus and Sessler, on Heed the Call. Go back and listen to that. That was a good time, and I hope everybody, like I say, had a real good Thanksgiving. Let's jump into the show here a little bit, shall we? First of all, as we do, we honor the player who wore the episode number best. This is episode number 29. Not a deep list in NFL terms. Eric Dickerson surely takes the crown here. And I asked him once, why 29? Because that number is pretty lousy, at least to my eyes. And he said, because I refuse to wear number 25. They tried to give me 25, Georgia Frontiere and Company. And by the way, come to think of it, Georgia Frontiere should be the next item that Pablo Torre sets his gaze on. Beware. If you don't know her story, I encourage you to look up the late former Rams owner. But 25 is no better. So he didn't want 25, and then he landed on the other side with 29. It's a wash in my book. Who else do we have there? Jeremy, you want to throw one in?
Come on, Hall of Famer Rod Carew. How could we not honor another great Jewish brethren on this episode of Football America?
That's right, one of the chosen people, yeah.
I'll bring
Happy early Hanukkah to him.
Chose to be a chosen person.
I'll bring the hockey to the festivities. 29 is a loaded category here. You've got Hall of Fame goaltender Ken Dryden, future Hall of Fame goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury, and two of the best players in the league currently, Nathan MacKinnon and Leon Draisaitl, both rock 29. McKinnon's the best player in the
wild.
world.
Yeah.
29 in the NHL. No one in the NBA, almost legitimately, no one worth mentioning, wore 29, but it is a pretty juicy...
Paul Silas.
Okay, I mean,
Paul Silas.
Paul Silas.
Yeah.
The name resonates for eternity.
He's a player. He could hoop.
So I think
he indeed was a player, correct.
He was a player who could hoop.
Indeed played, yes.
No one's arguing that, Soup. No one's arguing that. Hey, you heard Ethan announce himself from the hockey show. You heard Mike Fuentes there. Gino, once again, hanging out with his girls. Wish them well in a holiday week. The worst time to be sick is when you're off of school. My heart goes out to you. and from work. This is supposed to be the time of year where you take time away from work because you want to, because you start day drinking under the sun, and the man is even a little more liberal than he usually is. He says, take some time off, or you know what? Work half a day. Even when the man didn't encourage me around this time of year, I like to start bending the elbow around noon. When it was lunchtime, that was time for Dave to get a little loose. That's the rules. We've reached the sweet spot on the calendar, and not just because of football season. Anyhow, Hall of Fame semifinalist in pro football announced earlier this week, and Frank Gore is a first-timer. I think he's going to get in, but of course, like we talked about earlier in the week, Fred Taylor is better than Frank Gore, was better than Frank Gore, and should get the nod before Frank Gore does. I don't think he will. Drew Brees will definitely make it. Eli and Rivers, I'm not so sure. There is a numbers game. It's what's happened to the wide receivers out there. I thought Torrey Holt would have been in forever ago. Same with Reggie Wayne and Steve Smith, our old pals. We'll see if any and all of them get in. Hines Ward also up. But no matter how it goes for them with the gold jacket stuff, some of them have already received the ultimate honor in sports. They have landed on the best position groups by franchise list. It's time to update it. Back here at the tail end of the 2025 calendar, Jeremy Tache, I can't think of anybody better to jump in here because of your diverse sports knowledge here.
Thank you.
You can dip in on the pigskin, but we can also do some hardball. Ethan, jump in to support on the puck, and everybody, let's work on the NBA. Obviously, Tache, you know a thing or two about that. This list, for anybody who isn't aware, is I've cobbled it together. Why? Because I'm a big dork, a real big dork. So I thought it would be a good use of my time to rank, as I say, the position groups for one franchise. Now, who off the top of your head, Mike Fuentes, let me throw it at you. What jumps out to you? What's an iconic position group? Sort of the opposite, like we talked about at the start of the week. And by the way, go back and listen to the great episode that we got going with on Monday with the very funny Brad Williams. We did the jerk list, and within that came up the idea that Caleb Williams is already probably the Bears' best quarterback of the Super Bowl era. That's one of the saddest position groups you could ever see. Bears quarterback, Flyers goaltender, since Bernie Perrant probably belongs high up on that sad list as well. Now we're doing the other side, the best ever. Mike Fuentes, what jumps out at you?
So just to be clear for the audience, we're doing the best players in the history of a franchise that played at one position, right?
Yes. Yeah, well, apparently not just the audience, but Mike Fuentes as well.
I just wanted some clarity. So,
okay.
I'm going to go with, off the top of my head, not thinking too much, never do, I'm going to say the Dallas Cowboys wide receivers. Yeah,
that's a great place to start. Yeah. The 88s are, if nothing else, have a long history, iconic among themselves. They love to award it to other guys. Only certain players are worthy of the number, according to Michael Irvin and Drew Pearson.
Terrell Owens in there.
Terrell
Owens, CeeDee Lamb, once dated Kim Kardashian, Miles Austin. People forget he existed.
Miles Austin.
Who else is in there?
No, Miles Austin was 19. He didn't.
But
he was Kim Kardashian.
He was like, you don't remember that?
No, I
he
don't
dated Kim
remember that
Kardashian. Small claim to fame for Miles Austin. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're just including Miles Austin.
No, because he dated Kim Kardashian. He did nothing on the football field. He had a couple years. He had a couple years.
He's on this list. Yeah, he was a fantasy stud.
Yeah, he was. He had a couple years, but big claim to fame, Kim Kardashian. And then also George Pickens now becoming the number one receiver out of left field, even though not leading in targets, but way more efficient.
Okay, if we dip into this list a little, trust me, we won't read every single name on it. It does go, for the record, 100 deep. Why? Again, I already told you because I'm a dork.
Yeah, you're a maniac.
We'll focus in on the top 10. Maybe we'll stretch out into the top 25 and try to make a case for some of the names that I left off, some of the position groups by franchise that I may have forgotten about here. In football terms, the ones that jump out, I think Fuentes got us off on the right foot there because that is one of those groups. America's alleged teams, wide receivers resonate through the decades. I think Packers QB, in fact, that's how I have them rated. That's the first NFL position group that'll show up. Packers QB, and it should explain itself, but you have Bart Starr, who won the first 2 Super Bowls, the greatest winning by percentage in postseason history, Bart Starr. Brett Favre, of course. The sad thing, as I've pointed out for any number of years now, is the Green Bay Packers fans have been treated to never worse for about a 30 to 35 year stretch now of never having, at least from Favre to Rodgers, never worse than the second or third best quarterback in the league. And yet it only yielded 2 Lombardi trophies, same as Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco delivered to Charm City. So I don't know exactly how you're supposed to feel about that, but I do know specific to the position, the Packers are probably the best pro football has to offer. How say you, Jeremy?
I think that when it comes to football, the first one that popped out to me were those Cowboys wide receivers as well. But I think that's almost out of the fame more than anything else, because when you talk about those Packers quarterbacks, like through my lifetime, all I've witnessed are Favre, Rodgers, and now Jordan Love. Like the jealousy that I have as a Dolphins fan, as someone who's grown up where in the time that I can remember of football, Jay Fiedler is the best quarterback that my franchise has had. I could argue Ronnie Brown was actually the best quarterback that my franchise has had because him playing the Wildcat was more productive than anything else. Like, that's how bad it's been there. The jealousy. I remember in talking with my dad when it went from Favre to Rodgers, where he was like, how ridiculously grateful this franchise should be and these fans should be to see Rodgers come in and do this. And now Jordan Love is another great quarterback. He's not obviously of the caliber that those two guys were. He's not, going to go down probably as one of the, 10 to 15 best quarterbacks of all time like both of them are. But still, in my head, the first NFL group that came to mind were those Cowboys wide receivers. And I put them there, like when you asked me about this concept, the groups that immediately popped into my head were Lakers centers, which I know you have right near the top of that list. I thought about the Yankees outfielders in general, and we can delineate between center field and right field if you want to dive into it at some point. And ironically, and you had them about midway through your top 25, I think, looking at it, you have them at 16. Braves starting pitching came to mind before I thought about the Dodgers, which is crazy. And I think that's just because I grew up watching Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz and have seen that continue to evolve.
The Packers have rarely, if ever in the Super Bowl era, really struggled at the most important position. I have them number 4 overall. You got us going here now, Jeremy, with baseball. You are circled as our baseball expert here. So lay it on us. Who do you have among MLB franchises, the best position group at the top of your list?
Well, I'll tell you, again, what came to mind were the Braves starting pitchers. But I looked at your list here, and you have the Dodgers right at the top, and it's pretty tough to argue against it.
Number one.
It's the number
Spoiler
one position
alert,
group
here we go. Yeah,
overall. And I get it, because when you can have someone whose peak was that of Sandy Koufax, which you could argue is the single greatest starting pitcher peak in the history of Major League Baseball, and you could put together a list here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 starting pitchers, and Shohei Ohtani is not one of them. And Blake Snell is not one of them. And Tyler Glasnow is not one of them. It shows you the depth that they had. Like, just seeing Yamamoto on that list now after what he did in this postseason, it's pretty hard to argue against it. But Yankees right fielder.
Ooh,
when you start,
I love it.
When you start with Babe Ruth, and you can add Reggie Jackson, and you can add Aaron Judge at his natural position, although if you want to make the argument for Yankees center fielder, you could group him in with DiMaggio and Mantle because he's played some center field. But if you want to include Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, a 500 home run hitter, you could do it. And the list really goes on and on. I mean, Hideki Matsui could be included in this list as he played some right field for the Yankees. And then, of course, there's all sorts of other random guys. Paul O'Neill won. Yeah, Paul O'Neill won. The fact that Paul O'Neill on any position group would be 5th or 6th as a player shows you how deep it is. And your peak is the greatest left-handed hitter of all time, not named Barry Bonds, in Babe Ruth. I guess you could argue Ken Griffey Jr. ahead of him. I might do the same thing. But Babe Ruth, the iconic baseball name, and maybe the greatest right-handed hitter of all time at his peak in Aaron Judge. Like, and I'm talking him with Pujols, with Hank Aaron, him
greatest right-handed hitter in the history of people.
If you look at the peak,
You're also forgetting a key left-handed hitter who was brief but old, Ichiro Suzuki.
Oh, Ichiro. God. He's
I don't know
and
if he counts as a
he
Yank
was also
so
with the
much, but
Yankees.
yeah, I mean, look, there's so many guys that you can go. I mean, for that
2002 to
matter,
2014.
I mean, then you're also talking about like Maris and Winfield, like the
Andrew
right
Jones in
field,
center field.
the right field position for the New York Yankees was really truly special over the span of time, and I think this is a fascinating concept to dive into too, guys, because like baseball has never had any sort of salary cap. Right? The draft in baseball is a different thing than it is in a lot of these other sports. And so when you're putting together a specific position group, yes, it's about, in many ways, like you look at the Braves and their starting pitching, it was so much about their own development of players. But what's really amazing is when you look at these teams, like that's why the Packers are so amazing, right? Because it's you're drafting these guys and then they're turning out to be these superstars at this coveted position where if you're looking at, like, Reggie Jackson was bought by the Yankees and added to this group. Babe Ruth, famously bought by the Yankees and added to this group. And so those are the different things that you're dealing with in baseball, which is why I think the Braves came to mind first for me, because I just think about their ability over the span of years and years and years and years to draft and develop starting pitching into what's been this truly legendary group of guys in several different generations. But just like those Packers, only led to one Braves World Series there in the 90s.
You know, Chris Sale gets a Cy Young 2 years ago, and Spencer Strider, Rookie of the Year, 2-3 years or so ago, and so it goes. It's not just those 90s. That was
Don't
the
you
sweet
forget
spot,
Mike
of course.
Hampton, though.
Yeah, I didn't forget Mike Hampton. He's on the list. Like I
Smoltzy.
said, completionist. The thing that should be pointed out here is that some position groups like starting pitcher, even back in the day when they were just 4 deep, a starting rotation, but now 5 deep, there are 5 names any given year versus, let's say, a quarterback or a goalie. You only have 1 on a team or 1 of note on a team, 1 primary guy there. So obviously certain position groups are going to have a deeper pool to choose from. Nevertheless, like Jeremy said, Dodger starting pitchers, number 1, just in more recent vintage, starting with Koufax and his pal Don Drysdale. Don Sutton's a Hall of Famer. Fernando, who I can't believe isn't in the Hall of Fame. Oral Hershiser, who I can't believe isn't in the Hall of Fame. Clayton Kershaw, who will be. Yamamoto up to present day. That's my number 1. And in fact, that is an update from last year. The Dodgers moved up on the strength of Yamamoto, and by the way, Blake Snell, at least until the final round of these baseball playoffs, was dominant himself. That was enough to make them number 1 ahead of Ethan. Go ahead, hockey. Who's the best hockey position group?
Dave, I'm going to call you out for some homer bias here because
No, don't you do it.
Because you have
This is his show.
You have Penguin centers at 2, which listen,
Yeah, that's right.
This list is crazy, especially when you talk
Hey, whoa. Now I have to
Lemieux.
interrupt you before you get on track here.
Whoa,
Because
This is nuts.
Dave, check a tone. Check a tone. Okay, you're getting a little crazy.
I get it, Dave.
you think it's crazy for me to say tell me one other candidate on this list or on the planet Earth or in the universe that can claim it has 2 of the top 3 in the history of sport, regardless of the position. Mario Lemieux and Sidney Crosby are 2 of the top 3 players to ever play hockey. What are we talking about? And then beyond that, Evgeny Malkin, who's one of the 25 best center icemen ever, and Ronnie Francis, who's certainly comfortably one of the 10 best center icemen ever. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I think
What are we
Dave's
talking
right.
about,
Because
man?
Dave, a couple down the list, or a few down the list at number 6,
Yeah.
you have Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. Like, you want to talk about 2 of the 3 greatest players to ever play the sport? How about maybe the 2 greatest players to ever play the sport?
Who?
In Wayne Gretzky and Connor
McJesus?
McDavid. Yes. Listen, I'm not saying yet.
Connor
I'm not saying yet.
Are you kidding?
But there are many people that will say out there that when all is said and done, especially if he gets his Stanley Cups, which he's got to get out of the way of the Florida Panthers.
You think he needs to win a Stanley Cup, huh? That might be a key detail.
I would like to see him do that, Dave. But Just saying, when you talk about pure talent, these might be the two most purely talented players to ever put on a uniform, and they played for the same team.
Listen, you and I need to have a side conversation, and Roy and the gang. Let's do this on the hockey show.
I love this
but I will
idea.
make a powerful list that will a powerful argument for Wayne Gretzky. Here's the trade that we need to discuss. 1982, Wayne Gretzky gets shipped to 2012, 2013 for Sidney Crosby, and Crosby goes to 1982. Who do you think wins that trade? Sidney Crosby does. He would dominate the early 80s.
I mean, yeah,
in a way
anybody
that
would
even Wayne
dominate
Gretzky did.
the early 80s when goalies were this big, but I'm just saying.
I love
Gretzky
Dave.
really benefited from the era in which he was born.
I love Dave bombing in on you saying, Ethan, we got to talk about this trade that happened 42 years ago.
No,
we have to talk
it's
about
a hypothetical trade that would send Crosby back 42 years and send Gretzky forward 40 years. I love it. I love it. This is the kind of stuff we need in all of sports talk, I believe.
Well,
But
we talk about top three, two of the top three. That's what the Edmonton Oilers have and have had for quite some time now. And Draisaitl and McJesus are at worst two of the top five players in the sport. They haven't won a single Stanley Cup. That's bad, especially
Really
in the
bad.
NHL, where most high-end stars get at least one. Go through the list of names. There are not very many high-end players that never hoisted the cup at least once. Anyway, Jeremy, any other baseball names that you think? You made a good case there on the Yankees right fielders, to be honest, and as you can see, I had the Yankees center fielders above them, but I think you've swung me here, and I'll make that switch.
I think that's where you have to go for it. And again, I mean, like with the Dodgers pitchers, right? I was going based off of the peak of Sandy Koufax, and you could do the same with Mickey Mantle, because again, Mickey Mantle's peak right up there with maybe the top 5 players to ever play this game. Where
Ricky, or was he more left? I guess he played more left.
He ended
field
up being
with
more
that.
of a left fielder. But what I would say is that one group that you actually had in here that I hadn't considered myself that didn't immediately come to mind, and it's a shock because it includes my favorite player of all time, Cardinals first baseman, because you have Musial here, but also just in the last 15, 20 years, you go McGuire, Pujols, Goldschmidt. And McGuire's my all-time favorite player because I was 3 years old for the 98 home run chase, and it brought me right into baseball. But that is one heck of a run of dominance at that first base position, going from McGuire to Pujols, two of the better home run hitters of all time. But I really do, and Mike Fuentes and I were just sort of talking about this behind the scenes. What's crazy is the way that the Lakers centers stand out in basketball, because it's so far and away the best positional group in basketball history. There's not a lot of other traditions when you look at a singular position group for a singular franchise. Like, I was trying to go through and look at some of the greatest players ever, and ironically,
small forward's pretty strong.
And ironically, you could also look at now the Lakers small forward if you include LeBron James, because you could look at him and Worthy and a couple of other guys, right?
Yeah,
Luka, although he's sort of more of a point guard.
For it's all Lakers.
It's
and
all
Celtics.
Lakers.
Yeah,
with the notable exception of the Heat. I'm sorry, the Rockets at center. They have a number of Hall of Famers.
No, but like
who
basketball
worked out of the pivot there.
Basketball has gotten kind of weird now, like positionless stuff. Since you can move anybody who's like 6'9" to 6'5" from power forward all the way back to shooting guard.
It's funny because you could also, like, if we wanted to do like, it's a funny argument to make, but if you wanted to argue down near the bottom of what would be this top 100, if you just wanted to do it in basketball and you wanted to say Miami Heat centers and go Shaquille O'Neal, Alonzo Mourning, Chris Bosh. Right? Because Chris Bosh moved forward. Now, if you just go guard position as opposed to point guard versus shooting guard, that's also where you can have a different conversation, because some of these teams, I mean, gosh, if you looked at the Lakers guards in general and just start with Kobe Bryant and Magic Johnson, you're in a pretty good place.
You're already in the top 5.
So it's when you go to the sort of the positionless basketball model, that changes this entire thing, because the whole premise is you're going with specific positions. We were delineating between center fielder and right fielder. If not, Yankees outfielder in general blows everyone else away. And so when you have to go to the specifics, it is mind-boggling how far and away Lakers center and the tradition of that position over the span of years just dominates anybody else in basketball.
Well, I have the Lakers center as number 3 for the record. So Dodger starting pitchers 1, Penguins center iceman 2, Lakers 3. The only sort of dent I can put into the Lakers is, but you touched on it, Jeremy, is that it's people talk about the Cowboys quarterback as one of those things that everybody pays more attention to. Lakers center is kind of that. It's a destination. Shaq went there. Wilt Chamberlain went there. Anthony Davis even, and guys like that. Dwight Howard was a big get in the moment that they landed him. Guys want to be the Lakers center. Vlade Divac and obviously Kareem didn't start out there either. So the entirety of their careers weren't spent there, but they did perform some great Ds. And by the way, Pau Gasol needs to make the list too.
Absolutely.
The highest ranking, as I mentioned, Packers at number 4. And then after that, I have the next highest I have
Bears
up there
middle
is,
linebacker.
Bears middle
Yeah,
linebacker.
Bears middle linebacker.
Not great of
strong.
late, but they do go 4 straight. They go George, Butkus, Singletary, Urlacher. So that's hard to push back too hard on. And then the next
No, I
one
wanna
is
get hit by those
Niners QB at number 12 with Montana and Young and Garcia and Kaepernick and Y.A. Tittle and all the rest.
Putting Garoppolo in there is kind of
Jeff Garcia.
He went to a Super
Jeff
Bowl.
Garcia.
What are you
Who
talking about? He
cares?
almost won this.
I'm surprised you don't have Niners running backs as well. Because Frank Gore, 3rd all-time leading rusher,
Okay.
and then we go back. McCaffrey right now is the best running back in
good.
the league. Yeah, I don't care anybody. And then Roger Craig, Super Bowl champion 3 times on the ballot this year for the Hall of Fame. So those 3 guys you figure would move them up the list a little bit in your eyes, Dave.
You're right. When they get the gold jacket, when they get into the Hall of Fame of their sport, that obviously moves the position group up the list for me. And the other guy who, for whatever reason, I do not understand why he doesn't get more Hall of Fame buzz annually, is Ricky Waters. He was great in 3 different NFL stops, and primarily, I mean, his star shone brightest when he was playing with those Niners in the white pants when they housed the Chargers in that Super Bowl. All right, listen. Let's bounce from this. We'll put the whole list out. I'll put it on social media at least, so be on the lookout for that at Dameshek. Now let's do the countdown here, the 5 most consequential games of left in NFL Week 13, Jeremy, and we'll start off at number 5. Let's tell them who's going to win these games while we're at it. It's the Rams at the Panthers, and Mike Fuentes has latched onto this one, same as me. Double-digit favorites are not good bets in pro football. That's a lot of points to give to another pro football team. For what it's worth, on one hand, double-digit favorites this year are now, after this past week, 8-8 on the season. On the other hand, double-digit underdogs are now 8-8 on the season. This is a real conundrum for me. Jeremy, how's this one go?
I mean, this just feels like the Rams should wipe the floor with the Panthers, right? The Panthers' defense has been really solid, and it's the only thing that makes me think there's a chance this game could be close. And the Rams have just been so dominant, but it's hard to see a world where the Rams don't continue to dominate that way. They're so much better, seemingly, than everybody else. And it feels, in a sense, like Monday night was a bit of seeing the Panthers come back down to earth as the team that maybe they truly are, as opposed to the team that has floated and kept themselves in the hunt here. So to me, obviously, like, the Rams are going to win this game. It's just a matter of whether they could be the team to now put double-digit favorites over the top from that 500 record.
We'll see how quickly Bake comes back from the bum shoulder. So long as he is back, they get 2 with Carolina. Those are the 2 most important games left in settling the division, the hash of that division. The rest of the way for the Bucs is pretty breezy, though. They should be able to survive, even if it is Teddy B in the short term. The other thing about the Panthers is the Niners ain't that great. They've got some great stars, but there is a ceiling on how far they can get. We've been talking about that. I include this one because people like to talk about the QB of the Browns. I don't know if you've heard about him. He and his pals are getting 5.5 in Cleveland. The total's tracking under 40 for obvious reasons. I say the Niners get this one 23-20, Jeremy. But before you give your pick very quickly, I'm having it both ways on the previous game. Rams 28-19. The Rams win. The Panthers come in the black, though. How say you on that, on the Niners and Browns?
23-20. You think Shador's going to keep it that close?
The Niners are going to absolutely dominate.
Yeah,
the Browns.
I think it's a big
the
wake-up
only
game for Shador.
the only reason this could be close is because obviously that Browns defense is good, but to me, the Browns will be lucky to put up 10 points, in my opinion.
I just told you, I don't think the Niners are great at this point. The defense
I don't think
is fine.
Shador Sanders
Bob
is very
Sala's
good at
covering
all.
a great deal for him. He's done a spectacular job, but that doesn't make him actually good.
Fair, but I just don't think Shador had one really huge completion. If not for that, his statistics would have looked abysmal.
He also had a screen that went 70 yards
This is my
for a
point.
touchdown. You take that away, and you literally
He had
don't
a
have
terrible.
a good game.
He had a terrible game. He had
It's
two
also
throws.
against the worst team. I think is the worst team in the NFL.
That's right.
Which is the Raiders.
Niners are going to crush.
Yeah,
them.
but I heard somebody say that give him more than 1 week to get ready, and the sky's the limit. That person who said that was Shador Sanders. At number 3, it's the Vikes. It's the Seahawks. I think we can put a wrap on the Vikes' Super Bowl dreams for 2025. Here we go. Another double-digit favorite. 10.5 at home is what Seattle is. I'm going to split the difference with our earlier pick of a double-digit dog at number 5. Here, I'm going to take the Hawks to smoke them.
Yep.
29-17. Jeremy, how say you?
I agree with you. I think they crush them. Sam Darnold revenge game. It's inevitable, and that Seahawks defense is rolling.
All right, let's just jump right ahead to number 2. It's the William and Mary Alumni Celebration. Reminder, as I've told you before, and I'll tell you again, if one or both of these coaches finds themselves on the open market and you're a pro football owner looking for a new head man, run! They are both outmoded. McDermott and Tomlin have wasted the primes of 2 Hall of Fame level quarterbacks. Embarrassing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A home dog once again, +4. Can I tell you something? And I'm not trying to hot take it here. If things don't change drastically, it's a wrap on Mike Tomlin. I think the knives are out. I think inside the building, ex-players, guys who played for Tomlin, are quietly or loudly speaking out. I think some other people in the building might be speaking out as well. I think the Bills get this one. 31-24. Jeremy, how say you?
I think the Bills are able to take this one as well, having a few extra days, having played on Thursday, coming off of the loss. If they were coming off a win and feeling themselves, it's been such a weird year that I would have said, oh, this is one of those games the Steelers win, Aaron Rodgers wins. This feels like Josh Allen goes in a man determined here after such a rough game against the Texans. I think they put up a ton of points against the Steelers and are able to take this one pretty easily.
All right, and that brings us to number 1. Like I say, the game of the greatest consequence, and this definitely is true for the AFC South. Texans, Colts, Indianapolis at home, laying 4.5, which feels real heavy to me, given that both defenses are pretty strong. Total at the time of this recording is 44.5. How say you here, Jeremy?
I'd like to believe that Daniel Jones is going to be able to have a really good game here, but my God, that Texans defense is good. I think the Colts win, but I'm not sure they cover 4.5.
I am going to go with the Texans winning this one outright.
Wow.
Low scoring, 19-17 for the record. Houston has this one and another with Indy. Indy has 2 more with the Jags. I told you last week, Jacksonville has the easiest home stretch of the contenders in this division. Beware that bum team. They may end up winning it, and for whatever reason, the AFC South is mediocre to lousy once again. First things last, Black Friday game. At the time of this recording, we don't know what the result's going to be, but you might be listening to this after the game has concluded. So let's pretend like we already saw this game. Let's jump to the near future, Jeremy, shall we? Chicago, Philadelphia Eagles, home team, laying 7. Again, the total, we've been sprinkled with fairy dust. Total 44.5 here. You know, they say, or maybe they don't say, I say, that if you like a team to win, like them up to 7. And so I do like the Eagles here. I'm going to take them to win by more than a touchdown and an extra point. Jeremy, how say you?
I say the Bears. How about that?
Okay. You're welcome to it. I don't know. I don't know if I love Caleb spraying the ball all over the place under the eye of the enemy there in Philadelphia. And it's going to be a salty crowd. To your point, though, after what they just did down in Big D, Philadelphia, if this game gets sideways, and if the Bears have a lead at the half or before, and when they're running into the locker room, the Boo Birds are going to lay it on them, but good. I know they're the defending world champs, but that's how Philadelphia
we would hear
behave.
the worst boos of a team going into the locker room at half since Tim Tebow was being yelled for by Jets fans as they were clamoring for Tim Tebow to replace Mark Sanchez.
That was a very funny era. Hey, Jeremy, you're the best, man. Love the work you're doing on the Le Batard Show proper. Always love getting to yap with you when I jump in there, and a good conversation here. And don't be a stranger, eh?
You're the best. Thank you for having me. I hope to make a second voyage to Football America. Thank you to all of the listeners of this for continuing to support Football America. And Dave, he rocks.
All right, this is important. We talk about football a lot, but my eye is never too far away from the most important game of all, the game of life. And one of the most important things within the game of life is what you eat while you're here on the Big Blue Marble. Here to help us, an expert voice on the subject of food and how to eat it and when and all the rest of it. One of the great chefs, high-end, all over New York, restaurants spread from here to there. Chef Josh Capon, how are you, man? Thanks for joining.
How are we doing, everybody? And by the way, I couldn't agree more, because I say I live to love and I love to eat. That's me in a nutshell, baby.
Well, see, we park our cars in the same garage then, because I always tell people, don't just survive, live. First things first, you and I agree on one important issue specific to Thanksgiving: stuffing. I caught a video of yours saying that stuffing is your favorite part of the holiday. Explain.
I am a big fan of stuffing, and you better make extra stuffing, because if you don't take that stuffing the next day and whip in a couple eggs and throw it in a waffle iron and make some sausage cornbread waffles with some sliced turkey, cranberry sauce, and gravy, that's a better meal than Thanksgiving, if you ask me.
Oh, I was going to ask you for some leftover treats, some suggestions, recipes-wise.
I'm telling you, my daughter, every year, halfway through the meal, she's like, I'm waiting for tomorrow. She loves the cornbread sausage waffles, sliced turkey, gravy, and cranberry sauce. It's a 10.
Chef, I felt we needed an expert to come in here, because we had a little bit of a row here on Football America last week. Mike Fuentes, our producer, I have no problem with people doing what they want on a holiday, in addition to maintaining the traditions that were established centuries ago. Specifically, Thanksgiving is the one that I hear this about all the time. Turkey's a mid meat, so do away with the turkey. Mike Fuentes, what is the meat that you would prefer to have?
You're so hung up on this one thing I just said, but I said carnitas is what I would go, because I'd rather have like a nice set of carnita tacos.
That's a dirty word. I like this guy.
Yeah, my guy. See, the chef gets it.
As in pork carnitas? Are we referring to pork carnitas?
Yes, of course. Look what I just got here. One of our engineers, Danny, we got tacos, and I get some carnita tacos. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you. Wow.
Those tacos, number one. Where are those tacos from?
No, I don't know, but I'm eating them. I don't care where they're from. I know where they're going. Right here.
I will tell you one thing. First of all, two things. I don't think you can ever replace turkey, because let's be honest, Thanksgiving without turkey is not Thanksgiving. I actually think turkey is underrated, and I enjoy the meal so much. I'm surprised we only really eat it once a year. But, and this is a big but, I think everybody should be supplementing their turkey with another meat. I usually do a whole prime rib. I think the carnitas would be amazing, and it's something you can make ahead of time. So I think if you're going to serve turkey, which is great, and I actually cook turkey a little bit differently than most. I don't believe in cooking a whole bird, but that's another conversation. I think you should 100% supplement your turkey with carnitas or something a little bit exciting.
This is great. Why either or when the answer can be both? The only thing that I'm talking about is
you
chef.
said why either or, by the way. Growing up as a chubby / husky, back then when you were a little chubby, they called you husky. I used to shop in the husky section. One of my biggest. When I used to go to the diner, and then you ordered a cheeseburger, and they said fries or onion rings. Or why? Why does it have to be or? Why can't I just get the fries with just a couple onion rings? So every time I serve a burger, it's fries with just a couple of onion rings.
Here's a great move, chef, and I'm sure you as a restaurateur, along with being a chef, would agree with this move. If you're on a first date, here's a little tip. Do this if you want to impress your new friend. You sit down at the table, and I, by the way, say, if we can have Brussels sprouts now on every single menu available along with fries and onion rings, why not stuffing? Why are we relegating it to once a year? That's a weird move. But here's what you do. When you look at all the appetizers, you say to her, appetizers, and she'll say, ooh, the blank looks good. And you say, you know what? All of them. Waiter, the wheel. Bring every appetizer on the menu. What? You can't do that. I'm not that hungry. Like, take one bite, take 5 bites, however much you want of any of those items. The world is your oyster when you're riding with this fella, right?
I absolutely love what you're spitting out. 2 things. First of all, Brussels sprouts are 100% having a moment. Brussels sprouts
great.
Every menu, not just for Thanksgiving. We just opened up Capon Shop House. I got crispy Brussels sprouts with bacon. You always got to throw some bacon in your Brussels sprouts, and we got a little maple glaze. But I am a big fan of over ordering and ordering in abundance. If you go out to dinner with me and I'm ordering and you tell me it's too much, I'm going to say, listen, say that one more time and we're never going out to dinner together. This is never too much. And
Let's go out to dinner. I'm in. Lose that dope. I'm with you now.
Can you guarantee me that everything we're ordering is going to be great? No, because there's a couple doozies in the bunch. So I'm hedging my bet. That 2 of them are going to be clunkers, and I want to make sure I have a couple extras.
Phil Simms didn't go undefeated. You know that.
Yeah, he did win a Super Bowl.
He did win a Super Bowl, and so did Jeff Hostetler. All right, let's do what I really wanted to focus in on here. Mike Fuentes was talking up carnitas. Again, I'm not opposed to carnitas, but make it a turkey and carnitas. But in the meantime, it led to a more fundamental debate. Let's rank all the meats, all the beasts that roam the big blue marble along with us.
Let's rank the beasts. I love that.
Let's do it. Beef, swine. We could do a whole sea creatures, but I think we should divide shellfish with the rest of them.
Okay.
Then there's chicken, turkey, duck, lamb, buffalo, venison. Did you know, Chef, people eat bear? I used to wonder, why doesn't anybody eat bears? And then I learned, they do in some parts of the world.
I've never had bear before. Not a huge venison fan. Duck, I think, is completely underrated. Duck is fabulous. Okay. Fabulous. Peking duck, dry aged roasted duck breast. Make sure if you're ever cooking duck, and I'm happy to give you a tutorial, make sure you render that skin. You got to render that skin till it's nice and crispy. We just had a chef do a tasting, right? When you want a job as a chef, you have to cook for whoever you're going to work for. Guy served me a duck. I go, dude, you didn't render the skin. He goes, I know. I go, what do you mean you know? You know, but you didn't do it. So I don't know what's worse, the fact that you knew and you didn't do it, because you're giving me, you don't want you render the skin. Duck is phenomenal. Squab, quail, also good. But, the pork, I think, is completely underrated. We have, I would say, the sleeper dish. Where do you guys all live, by the way? You guys, Jersey, New York? Where are you?
I'm L.A., a lot of guys in Miami, some in Brooklyn.
Well, we just opened up Capon Shop House in Hackensack, New Jersey, at the Shops at Riverside. I expect you guys or anybody out there to come on down. I would say the sleeper dish on the menu right now is 100% the Duroc pork chop, fennel crusted with spicy vinegar peppers. It is a freaking 10. And by the way, when you're talking about value too, beef prices are an all-time high. You're talking $30, $40 a pound for some of these steaks that I'm serving. It's no joke. Pork is $10, $12, $8 a pound. So you get a real bang for the buck. And I think pork is an underrated, very, very high quality, clean. I know I grew up in a kosher house. A lot of people don't eat pork. It was considered a dirty meat. I'm telling you, pigs are cleaner than most animals. They get a bad rap just because they roll around in the mud. I like to roll around in the mud a little bit. Doesn't mean I'm not a clean guy. Take a shower.
Nothing better than a game of mud football. Maybe outstripped only by a game of snow football. Either way, I'm with you. Some people consider it a hot take. My number one, if I could only eat the flesh of one beast to the exclusion of all others for the rest of my life in a narrow contest head to head, I'm going swine over cow. How say you? Sounds like you agree.
Dave, I got to tell you, speaking my language, listen, you're talking bacon, you're talking pork chops, you're talking ribs. You want to live a life without ribs? Who wants to live a life without ribs? I'm talking barbecue. I'm talking Asian. I mean, ribs. You can't not eat ribs and not be happy. And then you take over all that leftover meat, and we're talking a pulled pork sandwich with coleslaw and fried onions. You know what, Dave? I was going to argue beef. I think I might be with you.
Listen, I'm going to miss hamburgers. I'm going to miss steaks, but I would miss ribs way more.
I'm the 8-time champion of the Burger Bash. I know how to make a burger better than anybody else in the entire world. I would miss a burger, but if you're talking roast pork lo mein, char siu, right? Roasted pork. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Yeah, I'm with you.
I think that, people always do the hypothetical, if you were on death row, what would be your last meal? And I think really, because I'm an empath, I think I understand that my stomach would be in knots about what was about to happen to me, and I wouldn't have much of an appetite. So whatever the pristine circumstances, your ideal, what's the one? For me, it is ribs, as you say.
If somebody says to me, what's your death row meal? Unlike you who gets his knots and Tilly, my last, you ready for this? If you tell me I'm going to the chair on Thursday, I'm gonna do such a number to myself that by Wednesday night I ain't gonna wake up. I ain't gonna everything that you can possibly imagine. I ain't waiting for the last meal, buddy. I ain't waiting for the last meal. I'm going down in a blaze of glory. Dumplings, chicken parm. Are you kidding? Prime rib, French dips.
Like the Monty Python scene, you're just gonna eat yourself to death until you explode.
You don't need the electric, baby. I'll do it myself.
That's the way to go. So bottom line, is turkey a top 5 meat? I go swine, beef, fish, chicken at 4, and then turkey at 5. It sounds like you might put duck ahead of it.
Listen, everybody loves a nice turkey club every now and then, but overall, and the dark meat, by the way, let's talk about Thanksgiving for a second. You ready?
Okay, yeah.
If you're cooking a whole bird, I think you're doing it wrong. I know everybody wants to bring a whole bird to their table, and it's like the cover of the magazine. A whole turkey does not cook properly. The dark meat doesn't cook in time. The white meat's overdone. You can't even carve it. I just spent the morning, this is a true story, by the way, up until about 5 minutes ago, and I'm sorry I was a couple minutes late. Up until 5 minutes ago, my best friend's wife was just in my kitchen, and I deconstruct the turkey. So I take the 2 big breasts off. I take the leg and the thigh off, and I debone them, and then I stuff them and roll them and tie them. So now I have 2 big breasts that I put a little mushroom duxelle, mushrooms and onions and garlic and Dijon mustard under the skin, and underneath the tender, I roll and tie that. Then I take the leg and thigh, I debone that, and I stuff it with that mushroom duxelle too. You put those in the oven, 450 degrees for 45 minutes. They come out golden brown, and you just take an electric knife and you slice these roulades. And you slice this nice turkey breast, and it's so moist and so juicy. A turkey cooks. How long does it take a turkey to cook? 3 hours? 4 hours? Who knows anymore? You never know when the thing's done. You're waiting for that little popper to time, that little timer thing. That thing ain't popping up. I'm telling you, it's the best way to cook your turkey, and it will change your life forever.
Interesting, really fascinating, and man, it's pretty clear you didn't have to let us know you were in New York. It breaks through when you open your mouth. A lot of people say the same thing about me being from where I come from. I have a list of the best signature food stuff by NFL town. Obviously, New York / New Jersey has two choices. I say for the Giants fans, who I assume are more Manhattanites than they are outer borough people, I go a big slice, a good nice slice somewhere at your
New York
favorite.
pizza, I respect it.
Is that? Would you agree with that?
Are we talking in the parking lot tailgate, or just in general if you come to New York?
Well, in the same way, Buffalo gets wings and Philly gets cheesesteaks and so on.
I would go New York. I think New York pizza is second to none, and there's some very good pizza in New York City right now.
So that's number one. What do you think
when you're going
the Jets
to a city, what's the number one food that you should have related to that city? Is what you're asking?
Yeah, right. And then I rank them out as well. I think
New York pizza. All right, what's next?
Well, what would be the Jets version of it? New York gets another bite at the apple, if you will.
I mean, it is still New York. Jets. Oof. I don't know if I have one for the Jets.
A dog of some sort of a wiener or something.
Yeah, Katz's Deli, all that kind of stuff is always good.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, nice hot pastrami. That where was
big
my
pastrami?
head?
All right, so let me ask you this. Ready? Are you a pastrami guy?
Oh, yes.
All right, so ready, everybody? This is for everybody.
I'm ready.
Pastrami, mustard or coleslaw and Russian dressing?
I don't love Russian dressing, but I do the coleslaw, and I do because I'm from Pittsburgh, where they put the coleslaw and the fries right on the sandwich at Permante's and some other places. I do both. I do the mustard and the coleslaw, whether or not
I go half mustard, half coleslaw, Russian dressing.
Nice, yeah. You know what I do? Talking about like you do, why either or? I convince somebody at my deli table to order a brisket, and then I get the pastrami, and then I say,
by the way, you should never eat a whole pastrami sandwich. Half. You should always go half and half, whatever it may be. The brisket, even turkey. Turkey's underrated. Roast beef. You should always go half and half.
Bottom line is, Josh, that you that you have solved something, and you pointed at what's most important here, is that you do whatever you want with your second meat at the turkey table, but have turkey. File that one away for 2026.
I think it's
great tips
it's
there.
a national holiday. Let's respect the bird. I have an annual. So Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year.
Me too.
Okay?
Yeah.
I always say Thanksgiving is the best holiday of the year. No religious boundaries. Everybody celebrates Thanksgiving. Everybody should have something to be thankful for. Surround yourself by friends and family, and it's a really nice day. So I think a couple football games. What's better than Thanksgiving? So my wife.
Nothing is the answer. Right.
Nothing. It's the best holiday of the year because everybody should celebrate Thanksgiving, and we should all be thankful for everything that we have. So when we moved out, I used to have an annual thing called Fry Fest. I used to invite the whole neighborhood over because Thanksgiving in my house was my in-laws, it was my family. It was nice. My wife was like, "This is not really doing it for you, is it?" I go, "No." So I started this Fry Fest. I started Fry Fest in my backyard where everybody came over from 12 to 2, and I'm frying off my famous chicken lollipops, and I make a big batch of a sausage, white bean kale soup with shaved Parmesan, and I'm doing lamb chops off the barbecue, and everybody starts coming out. It grew and grew and grew. It became too much before actual Thanksgiving dinner because by the time everybody left, I'm like, I got to cook dinner for my family now? Like, I'm tapped out. I'm done. And everybody else went home to their family and didn't eat their dinner. So 3 years ago, I got invited to be the chef on NFL Fox. I'm very, very friendly with Strahan and that whole crew. Mm-hmm. So I had to go into the city on Thanksgiving and spend the day at NFL Fox. I didn't have time to do my Fry Fest. So somebody said to me, Capon, why don't you just do Fry Fest on Friday? And then I said, well, why don't I just call Fry Fest Friday, Fryday? So now I have an annual holiday that I want to become a national holiday because there's nothing better. You spend Thanksgiving with your family and friends, mostly family. But the day after, one person in every town, like myself, should be hosting an annual Friday where the whole town comes out. I got hot toddies. I got Bloody Marys. I'm frying chicken lollipops. I got a big batch of soup, lamb chops. I have a pizza truck coming this year.
Oh, my God.
Somebody making burgers. And I'm telling you, there's going to be 300 people in my backyard from 12 to 4.
What's the earliest flight? I'm going to have to wait till next year, but you will see me there if I'm welcome. In the meantime, congratulations on all the restauranting success, and congratulations as a fan on Jackson Dart. I think you found the answer there.
Listen, I think Jackson Dart, the whole team. Listen, I know we're losing games, but at the same time, I got to tell you something. We're competitive. We're in every game. And that really wasn't the case last year. We should be winning these games in the end, but we're not. We weren't going to the Super Bowl before the season. We're not going to the Super Bowl now. I think it's just nice to see the boys playing with heart because you never want to see a team come up. What about Philly? What about Philly food?
Philly, we got to give them the cheesesteak. They have good restaurants.
But you realize there's been a big movement in cheesesteaks over the last couple of years. Are you aware of this?
I'm not.
Cheesesteaks, with no disrespect, I'm probably going to get killed for this from some Philadelphia fans. Cheesesteak is a bullshit sandwich. I said it.
Whoa! Hot take on his way out the door. Why? Because of the Cheese Whiz?
Well, with onions, great. Cheese Whiz is ass.
I agree. I go provolone.
Here's the deal. The bread is ass. I know it's a classic sandwich, and you got one of the two next to each other, Jim's and...
Sure.
Jim's and whatever next to each other. They're both serving the same sandwich.
Gino's right, and Ed's and whatever.
I'm a bread guy. All this bread it's not really high quality bread. Most often they're steaming the meat. You should never cook a piece of meat with water. They're steaming it. There's been a movement. Angelo's. Have you had a cheesesteak at Angelo's?
No.
Angelo's cheesesteaks that started this movement. They are baking their bread fresh in-house daily. It is a crusty semolina seeded roll with sesame seeds. I tried to say Whiz. She looked at me. She goes, no. She is not here. Cooper Sharp cheddar. Real onions, real bread, real beef. I'm telling you, that cheesesteak has changed the game. And you know Danny Coops? What's the actor's name? Danny, who's the guy from all the movies? Danny Coops.
Bradley Cooper?
Bradley Cooper now has Danny Coops, and it's a version of Angelo's. And I'm telling you, a lot of people now are changing their cheesesteak game. They're using real bread, and it's a game changer.
Well, I like that. We were just discussing before you jumped on here. I love to live in a world that now, and it was only 20 years ago, somebody had the brilliant idea. Let's put some sea salt on our dark chocolate. We're all the better for it. Little advents like that make the world better.
Salt brings everything to life.
Last thing is Pennsylvania native here. Philly cheesesteak or Primanti's?
The Primanti's thing, I had him once with the French fries on the sandwich. Like,
cut him off. That's it. It was great to visit with you. Happy holidays.
There we go. That's it. I scheduled my whole day.
I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and be spoken to like this. Not on Friday. Not on Black Friday.
Are you a Primanti's guy?
I love it. I love it. I love all things Pittsburgh. I do like it very much. I think the fries are delicious, and I think the vinegar-based slaw is very good too.
I'll give you that. I grew up. You like a bacon, egg, and cheese?
I do.
I grew up at the home of the hobo. They used to put the hash browns right on the sandwich. It's overindulgent. I get it. You want to put some fries in there. Listen, I was in Greece, and they gave me a gyro. And they said, you want some fries in the gyro? I was like, sure. When in Rome or when in Greece. But I get it. To me, I like my fries crispy on the side. But how about potato chips? How about potato chips on a burger?
Oh, what I like is what has been happening for the last quarter century or so are the homemade, fresh, and warm potato chips. Those are the. I mean, those
kettle chips.
Well, but I mean, when they're still flimsy, they're so warm that they're bendable without breaking. Those, I might put those ahead of a lot of fries.
I make a great Italian hero. My Italian stallion, salt and vinegar chips on the sandwich. How you doing?
Oh my God! You and I got to get together. We have a lot in common.
If you guys are ever in New York, and I mean this, we just opened up Capon Shop House in Hackensack, and this place is on fire. I got a Fly Fish Club, Members Club in New York City that's going really well. We got Little Maven on West 18th Street. If you guys are ever at the Fat and Blue, I got our first location of Capon's Burgers, Bar Ito at Ito Omakase. Fat and Blue Hotel in Las Vegas is blowing up. Jeffrey Sulfur probably built the most gorgeous first-class hotel I've ever seen. So if you guys are going out to Vegas, that is the place to stay. And make sure you grab a burger at Capon's.
Man, you are delightful and a wealth of information.
That's what my mom says to me, Dave. She always says you're delightful.
I'm an old soul.
All laughing. This is fun. We should do this again.
Let's do it. Listen, I just the tip of the iceberg with the NFL town food conversation. We'll have you back if you're willing to do it at some point soon.
Are the Patriots for real? Yes or no?
To the extent that they can get to the Super Bowl, I'm going to say no. But then again, the AFC is not loaded up with heavyweights. They're good teams, no great teams. So I think they have a shot if they get the number one seed. 2 home games versus 3. Yeah, you have a shot. I don't think
they're worthy of the best record in football right now. But like crazy things have happened.
Hey, enjoy your Friday. It sounds grand. Like I say, I want to be there 1 year from now. And in the meantime, continued success to you with all the restaurants. Kingpin, I watch you on YouTube and all the rest of it. Chef Josh Capon, thanks so much for the time during this holiday weekend.
I appreciate you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for having me on and wishing you all nothing but the best.
Go Gents. Easy to root for when they got a fan like that guy.
Big Blue, baby. Big Blue Wrecking Crew.
All right, there goes Chef Capon getting ready for Friday. I'm sad because now I'm not there, but it sounds like I will be there in about a year. Mike Fuentes, mouthful of carnitas. I hope he's enjoying those. I hope you enjoy all the rest of NFL Week 13. We'll be back on the other side of it to try and make sense of what we all just saw. Until then, thanks so much and happy continued holiday weekend, my fellow football Americans. It's been a thin slice of heaven.